the biggest secret, the biggest thing that really hasn't shown itself that is there and is going to be in the Niners' favor or in working against them, either way?
The biggest secret is that this offensive line is great. I don't even know if it's just Alex Mack, but Mike McGlinchey's playing very runs a slow start the Eagles game, but he actually came on very well. How much of that has to do with Brandon Graham leaving the game? I think they did a really good job of getting rid of Fletcher Cox. Barely heard his name in the game. But I think that Mike McGlinchey's playing really well, man. And I think that obviously we're talking about two pass rushes that aren't exactly the best. And he's not going to get tested again this week, most likely, because obviously no Zadarius Smith. And we saw what happened on Monday night. The Packers can't generate any sort of pass rush. But this offensive line it's a combination of the offensive line and the quick passes. So that's the thing, right? So if you're worried about people getting beat, then you call a lot of quick throws, which is also right up Jimmy's alley. So all that stuff kind of lines up. I understand people's frustration, and it's a big, big narrative on Twitter lately, which I'm trying to just stay out of, about air yards and all those things. But sometimes with your personnel and the people that you have, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback, you kind of just have to do what's best, even if people don't like it, because you don't want Jimmy sitting back there for a long time trying to dissect things. You want to get him quick open reads, and that also shows up the pass protection. But I think Mike McGlinchey in this line have been great. Honestly, I really am impressed with what he's been doing so far. So if you wanted improvement from him so far after 2 games, Mike McGlinchey's been doing well.
Okay, I'm going to go again with negative.
Okay. I'm always going to be positive, Grant. I'm in Cali, man. This is fun, man. I'm not I'm having a great time.
I think the Niners' biggest secret is that Jimmy Garoppolo is in survival mode, and he's playing. And what I want to say survival mode is he's playing like the most safety first style of football I've ever seen. And in a way it's good, but in a way it's not, because they haven't had any offense the last 6 quarters. And a lot of that is him really not throwing the ball outside of a very constricted range. And so I think the Niners' biggest secret is that, maybe I'm just tripping here, but I think they're closer to a quarterback change than we realize, because I think the way he's playing, like the way his conservative safety first style the first 2 weeks was good enough to beat Jared Goff and Jalen Hurts, who aren't bad quarterbacks, but aren't great quarterbacks. And now he's going against 3 MVP candidates. And then there's a bye week. And, he could lose all 3 of these games. I'm not saying he will, but he certainly could. And if they do lose these 3 games, it's probably going to be because they didn't have enough offense. So if he doesn't start getting the ball down the field, if he doesn't start expanding his shot chart, they're going to have to go to Trey Lance, or else they're going to lose games. I think that's the Niners' biggest secret. They're 2-0 and everything looks great, but it's not as hunky-dory as their record looks.
Right, and you're absolutely right. We knew that this year Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be playing for his football life, meaning being a starting quarterback in this league, which, again, we said has value. Doesn't matter where you are on 1 through 32. You're still one of the quarterbacks that start in this league, and that's something that's very valuable, not only for his money, but his reputation as well, too. And yes, I think that this offense isn't sustainable, especially when you get into games.
It's not sustainable. Yeah.
I think that you're not going to be able to win games against these guys like that with that. So I agree with that as well, too. It's so funny with a guy who's so conservative. Sometimes, those throws, you're just like, oh my God, like, wow. And it's not even really far out. And sometimes they're turnover worthy throws at times. It's so strange with Jimmy Garoppolo. But I mean, they did enough to win these games. Again, wins are wins. You'd rather almost lose than almost win. But at the same time, can you get away with this when Kyler Murray's playing the way that he is right now? Can you get away with this when the Seattle Seahawks are showing that their offense has grown from that old just run the ball 1-2 and then let Russ cook on the 3rd down? Like, they're actually running some concepts that are really, really cool. Tyler Lockett's playing out of his mind. That's a lot of speed. So we're going to find out real quick, like, what's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's going to be on the national stage. This game is going to get dissected. I do think we do see Trey Lance in this game. And for those moments that you're talking about, where maybe the offense just needs a little spark, something like that. Quick zone read run, and he busts something off that's really big. If he starts to rip off good play after good play, you might see him a little bit more, and especially some high leverage situations like in the red zone. So I think we'll see Trey a little bit more. I don't think that Trey was needed in this Eagles game as much, even though the game was much closer than it felt, like what the score was showing for a little while, because the Eagles couldn't score. But yes, I agree with you 100%. I don't know if this is going to be sustainable for them.
I think we're going to see sooner than later a team be able to take away that middle of the field, that 15-yard throw over the middle. If you can take away that 15-yard throw over the middle and have an offense that kind of forces the Niners to not just run the ball and do nothing on offense, like the Eagles did a good job on defense, but their offense did nothing, so the Niners could do nothing on offense and just feel like, whatever, we'll just throw screens and not turn the ball over. Like, if you go up against a competent offense that can score 23 and you can take away the middle of the field against Jimmy, I'm not saying he'll fail, but someone is going to force him to throw outside the numbers. And when he did it against the Eagles, it looked bad. I mean, the ball sailed over Sanu's head. He missed. Did he miss Sanu twice? He missed.
Yeah, Sanu, and then the one at Ayuk that was
No,
up. And then
he
I
looked,
mean, even
yeah.
the screen pass to Juice, he like threw it at his feet, and you know, like I'm not trying to like be negative about it. I'm just saying these are misses. These are objective misses. This isn't this isn't, oh my god, you guys are running with a narrative. No, like when you watch, those are throws that quarterbacks should make, especially though that one on the outside like that.
But what I see with Jimmy is like he has no velocity on his throws, and he can do a lot. I mean, you don't need a lot of velocity on a lot of throws, but if you're getting forced to throw downfield outside the numbers, you do. And if they can, if a team can force him to do that, then they're in a good spot. So far, a team hasn't been able to do that so far this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, the
We'll
windows
see.
close fast on the outside,
They
especially
do.
when you don't have that velocity to get it there.
Again, like they keep calling stop routes for Ayuk on the outside. Like the ball has to be out early, and it has to be coming in hot, and it's not. Steven says, can we talk about how Trey Lance's best work is when the chips are down, where he assumes the captain's role? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're talking about college, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I did like about him in the preseason was that when he, threw an interception or something like that, or had a no throw, kind of bounced back pretty quickly. So I mean, I know that that's preseason, but that's something that we saw in practice as well too, right? If he had a bad play, he immediately didn't put his head down. He went right back, and he was able to bounce back. So that's sort of that's definitely going to be needed in this league, especially as a rookie, because you're going to take your lumps.
Any chance if we don't make the playoffs and Lance is still not starting, Jed fires Kyle and keeps Lynch and hires a mentor coach for Lance?
I mean, there's always a chance. I probably would say no to that though. And I think that's also part of Kyle's game as well too. Take your time with Lance. If he's doing things that you don't like with, whatever it is, the playbook, the reads, whatever, you have a whole year and nobody will blame you for not playing him. And, if you sat him and then you give him a whole offseason and then you come back to him the next year, obviously, which is probably going to happen because, this is Jimmy Garoppolo's last year. So I think that's why Kyle does it. He's extending his time. He's resetting his timeline with him, and he gets all the time in the world in the rope, and he doesn't have to have that pressure of like now the Bears are starting Justin Fields out of necessity. So I think that's the only time that we probably would see it, unless Jimmy Garoppolo just falls flat on his face.